This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Welcome to our flower series. In this video, we're going to show you how to pipe these wonderful buttercream freesias. The video is broken down into segments, so you can skip ahead, rewind, or rewatch as desired. So let's start making the colors for our buttercream freesias. We're going to make ours purple. So I'm going to start with a nice shade of purple, and we're also going to make a cute little shade of yellow as well. To do that, we're going to use 3 liquid gel food colorings, violet, sky blue, and finally lemon yellow. We're using American style buttercream, and I just have a few ounces in my cup because I'm not going to make too many freesias. So we'll start with our purple, and I want a nice kind of almost medium tone, so I'm going to start with a few drops of this purple. And I'm just going to give it 1 drop of that sky. Sometimes this little bit of sky blue adds a little bit of brightness to the color. Kind of changes the tone a little bit and gives us a nice different shade to what we normally make. Gives it a touch of that kind of periwinkle-ish vibe and just changes the balance of that purple a little. And I like where we're going. I think we just need a little more purple. It's reading a teeny bit blue right now. There we go. Just adding a little more purple brings us back into that kind of more purple than blue stage, which is lovely. So there we have a nice kind of medium tone shade of purple that's going to make some beautiful flowers for us. So I've just got a tiny bit of buttercream down in there, and I just want to put in a little bit of yellow, just enough to make it a nice little yellow color, but not to make it too intense. So I just squeezed a little bit out and touched the surface with it. Do that when I need less than a drop, but more than a couple of specks. And when I'm not looking to make too specific of a color. And this should give us a nice light yellow color. If you want to change it up and give it a slightly different tint, make it less lemony, you can always add just a tiny little speck of blue or even purple to it. And I think I might do that. Just change up my color just a tiny bit. You can see it's very, very lemony right now. I'm just going to take the tiniest little touch of my purple and add that in. And that should just dull the color out a little bit. And it just doesn't take very much just to take the edge off of that yellow a little bit. It kind of takes away some of the brightness that you get from that lemon yellow. So we've got a nice little shade of yellow to go with our purple, and we're ready to fill our bags and start making some flowers. We're going to use 3 12-inch decorating bags for this flower. We have 1 fitted with our number 12 tip. So you can see just a plain round opening, and I've just got some extra buttercream in this. It's white in my case, but it can be any color, so anything you have excess of, because it's going to get covered up. And then the second has our yellow, and it's got a number 2 tip on it, so a small round tip. And finally, we have our purple in our bag with our petal tip, and it's a curved petal tip. This one is an Antico number 120, so it's smaller than that big oversized 123, but larger than some of the normal curved petal tips that we use, like the 61. So it's going to give us a little bit of a bigger petal with more presence. So I like this one. So those are our 3 bags. We've got our colors in them, loaded up and ready to go. So let's talk about the techniques that we're going to use to make our freesia flowers. There's 3 of them. The first one, our number 2 tip, we're going to pull some spikes, and these are going to be for those little stamens in the center of our flower. Very easy. You want to hold your bag straight up and down, pipe a dot, and then pull away while still squeezing. So unlike when you're doing a finished dot with a clean top, you want to continue squeezing while you pull away, so you leave that nice little trail of frosting and you get those nice little spiky hairs in the center. The second is going to be a dot. This is going to be for building our flower on, and why we have just any color we have left over of in our bag with our number 12 tip, and you just want to be straight up and down, right off the surface, squeeze a nice little dot, and unlike when making our spike, just kind of trail off to the side after you release your pressure. And that'll give you a nice little mound to build your flower on. Finally, we're going to use our 120 tip to pull a nice high arc. And we're going to just mimic that motion here, but we'll talk about how you're actually going to set your bag up and hold it when we're practicing on our nail. So it's really just very similar to the stroke that we use for a lot of other flowers, think ranunculus, roses, everything else, except it's going to be a shorter motion and it's going to have more arch to it. So think about pulling the bag higher up and just keeping it nice and tight. And this is going to give us those beautiful petals, right? And when we do it really close together, it'll close them up. So it's going to give us those beautiful kind of cupped high up petals and that characteristic shape to them that freesia flowers have. So very simple 3 techniques that we're going to combine to make our flower. So let's talk about building your freesia blossoms. We just went over the techniques we're going to use, and this is the order and how we're going to use them. So we're going to start with our 12 tip and pipe that nice little mound. We're going to switch to our 2 and pipe our little spikes in the center. I start with 1 in the center and then go all the way around and just kind of build it up till I have the volume that I want. Then we're going to switch over to our bag with our 120. We're going to do 2 rows of petals, 3 petals on each row. So you don't want that mound to be too big because you don't want too much space, right? You want to be able to get around it with those 3 kind of short, kind of skinny, tall petals, right? And then for the second row, we're going to open the tip up. So first one, straight up and down. Second row, opened out a little bit. This is going to open your blossom up. And we're going to do them offset. So the first set of petals, think about making a triangle almost with them, right? You're going to go around, make those nice little short petals. And then the second set, you're going to go in between each one. And that's going to give it that offset vibe and look like a nice little opening flower. So first ones, we're going to go like 12 o'clock for the angle. Second row, we're going to go 1 o'clock. And as you can see in our photo, we're going to start higher up the mound, so close to the bottom of the stamens for the first row. And for the second row, we're going to slide our tip down to the bottom and do that row, right? So that is going to pull that second row of petals down a little bit and open them up. And that's going to give our flower that kind of characteristic look of a freesia. So now that we've talked a little bit about what we're going to do on our nail, let's pull it out and start practicing. So let's pipe a freesia. We're going to start with our number 12 tip. We're going to pipe a mound. It doesn't need to be too tall, right? We just need a really nice little dot to connect everything to. And once I get that done, I'm going to pipe 1 spike in the center and then go all the way around. And once I make it around, I'm just going to fill in anywhere I think I might have a little white showing if I don't put something there. So give us a nice little kind of grouping of little hairy spikes there. And once I do that, I'm going to grab my bag with my purple and my 120 tip. I'm going to hold it at a 45-degree angle, right, in relation to my flower nail. And I've got that back of the bag pointing towards my right shoulder. And I've just then lined up. I'm going to start about halfway down my mound for my first set of petals. And I'm going to pull those nice high arch shapes and just turn really slowly. And you can see that presses them on really close to those centers. If you get a little tail, just remove that before you do your next one. And I'm going to do them right next to each other so they make a nice little closed grouping of petals. You can see that encloses my center there. And then I'm just going to open that up a little bit. So just rock the opening of the tip out a tiny bit. Start in between 2. So right in that kind of little gap right there, that's where I'm going to start my next one. All the way down at the bottom, nice and high. And you can see it kind of fills in that gap in between those two petals and creates this lovely little offset look. So I'm going to do that for each little break between the petals. And this should almost completely enclose, right, my first set of petals. So you can see there's just a tiny bit of white showing at the bottom, not a big deal. I actually chose the white just to show you what it looks like. If I did that center in purple, that would just disappear completely and you wouldn't see it. So if you feel like you might have some trouble with the bottoms, go ahead and do the centers in the same color that you're going to use for the petals. If you're going to place these directly on cakes though, it's not such a big deal, and that's something I just wanted to show you really quickly. You can actually use your flower lifter and just kind of scissor off any little bits, right, that would be showing otherwise. And that gives you little beautiful freesias you can place directly on cakes or cupcakes. So it makes it very easy to remove. You just kind of insert those scissors underneath, just spin your nail a little bit and allow you to remove them and place them on your cakes. If you want to though, you can place the whole thing right in the refrigerator and move them later when they're firm. So that is our beautiful little freesia, and you can go ahead and place them on cupcakes or cakes, whatever your heart's desires, but they're a simple, easy little flower, and they're a great one to start with if you've never tried using a curved petal tip before. If you enjoyed this video and you want to check out more, try some other videos in our flower series or some of our 3D flower cake tutorials. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecoratingschool.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.